Welcome to the Style Sports Hub, presented by UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Sports Hub podcast presented by UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics. I'm your host, Kyle Coppola. Thanks for joining us here today. I want to thank our partners, Lake Center Home Care, Lake Sumter State College, and United Southern Bank. Our podcast available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and more. So check us out and subscribe. It really helps us out, guys. I want to welcome today, I'm joined by Tavares High School track and cross country coach Charisa Watson, and we also have Coach Brandon Curl, who coaches cross country and swimming as well. I want to welcome you both to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to you guys. What a season for both of you on the swimming side as well as the track and cross country. I'm going to start off with Coach Curl. Coach, it was quite the season, obviously, for Tavares this year. You had a lot going on, of course, with swimming and cross country. You kind of walk us through the season for you?
Certainly. Fantastic cross-country season. I went into this year with a lot of anticipation for the cross-country season. We had some great athletes coming up from Tavares Middle School from the Von Maxey's program. Mm-hmm. They do a fantastic job down there with all the athletes, so we're really looking forward to them coming and joining the team at Tavares. Yeah. On the swimming side, I last year had assistant coached, and this year we had a tragic loss of the head coach unexpectedly before the season started, so I stepped up to help the athletes with that head coaching position. Did make for some pretty long days going from cross-country practice to swim practice. Yeah. And with the heat that we also had in August, we had to move some of our cross-country practices to the morning, so made for some really long days. But it was definitely worth it with the athletes. We had state finalists on the swimming side as well as on the cross-country side. So it was a fantastic season. Yeah,
definitely can start to feel the heat as starts to heat up here in late May and early June. Coach Watson, what a season for you as well. You're coming off of the track season. Both of you coming off of track season. Well, what a season it was. You had Cheyenne Thomas. What a performance by her. She had a terrific year. She medaled at states in two different competitions. How did that go?
Oh, it was awesome. Cheyenne, she broke her own record. So she broke the school record and then broke it again at states, running a 4:54 mile, which is just impressive, especially as a freshman. And then she medaled in her 800 race, broke the record with that as well. And then the 4x8 actually broke the school record too, running a phenomenal time. And so states was awesome. We had our 4x4 team go to the state championship as well, which they did excellent. And then we had sophomore Isaac Mars run the 800 at states. And so it was awesome being able to take a crew there and just see them do phenomenal. Just such a phenomenal job. They're athletes that work hard, and it's great to see their work hard pay off.
Coach Curl mentioned as well, Coach the Von Maxey's, which they coach the Tavares Patriots, which is the middle school team. And Cheyenne, we've been looking at her for a long time because she was winning state championships at the middle school level and doing some amazing things there. And then she comes in and she instantly impresses pretty much everybody. She had a huge cross-country season and then impresses here at the track season. What is it like to see athletes like that develop at the middle school level and then come up to the Tavares, because Tavares is, it's been growing every year for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. The thing about Cheyenne is she, you have a lot of great athletes, and sometimes when people are great, they just settle at, oh, I'm great, But the thing with Cheyenne is she doesn't settle with just being great. Like, she works hard. I mean, she is somebody who she's going to stay out after practice. She's going to come early to practice. Like, she's somebody who's going to put forth the work too. I'm not just going to be great, but I'm going to push myself to be as great as I possibly can. So to see that at the middle school and then see that same attitude at the high school level is it's awesome.
And work ethic is so important. I mean, from swimming to cross country. I'm sure it differs in how they train, of course. So are there any differences on how you train, of course? I mean, you have guys in the pool, guys and gals in the pool, and then you have, the runners. So I would imagine coaching is a little different as far as that goes.
Not really. I mean, they're different events. So whether you're training for long jump or triple jump or the mile or for 3 mile or for various races in swimming with different strokes, it's scientific. So you look at technique, you look at improving strength, you look at improving endurance. We have a program set up for the cross-country runners that is actually very ambitious and quite extensive. Takes them from base phase to different training phases, power phase, endurance phase, and then tapering before their championship meets. For swimming, it's really the same. I mean, you're looking at different modalities of training, I guess, but you're really training the same systems, just in a different event.
Speaking about sciences, you're not just a coach here at Tavares High School. You're also a teacher at Tavares High School. Can you tell us what you teach?
Yeah, I teach marine science. I've been teaching marine science for 3 years. Really enjoy the subject. Before I became a teacher, I actually worked at SeaWorld. I was a trainer there for 20 years up until the pandemic. And then the whole world changed, and I had always considered teaching as a career. And here I am.
Here you are, and he's teaching marine sciences right now. That's always cool. You know, the kids. A lot of the kids love that. I mean, they come in and they have a lot of fun. And of course, you're also not quite a teacher, but you're also a mental health, counselor. I would say at Tavares High School, a liaison. How did you get into that, and where did that take you? How long you been at Tavares for?
Yeah, so I went to college I got my bachelor's in psychology and social work. So I knew that I wanted to do something in the counseling world. But then I had a passion for education, and I know working in the schools also allows you to coach. And so I was like, oh, it's perfect. I can do counseling and then also coach, which are both of my passions. And so I got hired as a guidance counselor at Mount Dora Middle with Mr. Stein, and then Mr. Stein became the principal at Tavares. And so he brought me with him, and I was able to go to Tavares, and then the opportunity to coach basketball arose. So I coached basketball, and then right after that, cross country, and then track. They just kind of all happened. And so I found myself coaching basketball, track, and cross country, and just absolutely loved it.
And you went to school in the area as well. You went to East Ridge High School, so graduate there, and you played basketball, did some track down there. You ended up going to college to play after that too. Where'd you go to college?
I went to Warner University, so I went on a basketball scholarship, and then I was also offered the opportunity to run cross country and run track when I wasn't playing basketball, and that's because I just wanted to be doing something, and I wanted to stay in shape, and so it was great being able to participate in those three sports at the collegiate level.
And then you come out, and now you're a coach. You're going up against some of those coaches as well, which is really cool. How is it going up against former coaches? That's
awesome, especially when you get to beat them. I'll be happy to see them, and then I'm like, but I'm also gonna try and beat you too. So it's great.
Yeah, it's always fun to see that. We're gonna take a short break here on the Sports Hub. We're gonna come back in just a moment with more with Tavares High School.
Is pain or restricted range of motion keeping you on the sidelines? Get back in the game with expert orthopedic care from UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics. UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics provides robotic-assisted surgical joint repairs and replacements, post-operative care, and inpatient rehabilitation services, all close to home, right here in Lake and Sumter counties. And for those unexpected injuries, UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics offers convenient walk-in and same-day appointments. To learn more or to schedule an appointment with one of their specialists, call 352-323-5665.
Hey everybody, we are back here on the Sports Hub podcast. Thanks for joining us here today. We're talking with Charisa Watson, who's the head coach of the track and cross country, and Coach Brandon Curl as well, who's the coach of cross country and swimming here for Tavares High School. Want to welcome you back to the program, and really talking about the mental health aspect as well. I wanted to touch on that for a little bit. Coach Charisa, you are involved as the mental health liaison at Tavares High School. Can you talk about the mental health of athletes? And athletes are training. They're involved in a lot of stuff. It's a lot different, I think, than it used to be. So, but there's a lot more science that goes on to know what to look for student athletes as well. What have you been noticing the last couple of years as you've been the mental health liaison?
Yeah, I've noticed a lot when it comes to performance anxiety, and I myself struggled with that a lot. I think athletes, the reason why they get into sports is because they enjoy it and it's fun for them. But then as they get older, there's a lot of pressure to perform well and to get scholarships, and pressure from families and just doing your best. And I think that anxiety sometimes cripples them. Mm-hmm. And I notice it a lot with my athletes when I notice there's kind of a dip in that performance. And it's not necessarily like training has changed or maybe, they're sore muscles. It's nothing like physical. That's usually a sign of, okay, something's going on mentally here. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of times where me or Coach Curl, we pull them aside, we have conversations with them, and we let them know, like, at the end of the day, we want you to enjoy yourself. Like, we don't want sports to be something that's a burden, that, you feel anxious. I mean, there's a lot of athletes that have told me, I just don't want to run anymore because it's not fun. I'm just anxious all the time. And so that's one thing we always try and incorporate is just the fun part, just enjoying yourself. Because like I or I might have mentioned to you earlier, only 1 to 3% of athletes go on to perform at the collegiate level, right? So we only have this high school is it for them. And so it's like, we don't want them to look back and be like, oh, this was such a hard time, difficult time, so much anxiety. Like, no, I enjoyed myself. I had fun. I learned about myself. I formed good relationships and learned work ethic, and it was a positive experience and not just filled with anxiety.
Right. And Coach, we talked about this earlier a little bit too. How do you foster a sense of camaraderie with the team? Because it's important, obviously, kids training is very important, but it's also important to have fun out there as well.
Well, I want to second what Coach Watson said, that keeping it fun is definitely important. And if you keep it enjoyable for the athletes, they foster their own sense of camaraderie. And as a coach, we reinforce that. I also lead by example. I will run literally all over the cross-country course, and I have a really loud cowbell that the athletes can hear no matter where they are on the course. So no matter how hard they're digging or where they are, they hear that cowbell and they know that I'm cheering them on. I think that motivation as far as an athlete can come from a lot of different things. And one of the testaments, I think, to especially the cross-country program is that all of the athletes are very supportive. And without that support structure, I think you tend to lose athletes. When I was in college, a Division I program, my swim team lost 70% of the freshmen that it started out with freshman year to how many we graduated. And I would say that is probably attributed to lack of support and lack of reinforcement. It was an amazing program that I was part of, but we still had a high level of attrition. What I see, especially on the cross-country team at Tavares, is just the opposite. That support network, I feel so fortunate to be part of that team. I mean, we have athletes that are out there just for the camaraderie. We have athletes that are out there just to stay in shape. We have athletes out there that are state finalists and All-Americans. And that wide range of athletes, it's such a cohesive group. We do kind of beginning of the year things, end of the year things. We did a team builder before the season started this year. The whole team went kayaking together. We try and do a lot of things together. Our fastest runners will literally finish their race and then go right back out as soon as they catch their breath and cheer on other athletes. And I think that goes a long way to creating that support network that helps keep everybody motivated. Because in reality, it doesn't matter how good you are at something. If you don't want to do it, you're not going to continue it.
Yeah. And a positive mindset is so important in this day and age, especially for mental health of athletes, of course. What is important about having that positive mindset and steering them on the right path? Because I feel like that for the Tavares athletes, they do have that support system, especially at the middle school level with the Von Maxis. Coach Von Maxi and April do an amazing job at setting these kids on the right path, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, positive mindset is everything. And I think positive mindset also goes with growth mindset too, instead of having a fixed mindset. So knowing even though I haven't mastered this now, I have the potential to be great. And then with the positive mindset, kind of like what Coach Curl was saying, we make every athlete on our team feel valued. So it doesn't matter if you're the slowest runner. It doesn't matter if you are a state champion. Like, you're going to feel just as valued. And your success might look different from somebody else's. But if you started the season running an hour of 5K and you finished running 55 minutes, that's success. And we're positive about that and we celebrate that. And I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I was about to say, how do you judge the differences of athletes? Not everybody's going to be a state champion, of course, but everybody that is part of a team wants to at least be a part of it, and everybody has different strength levels. How do you gauge success of athletes?
By the fact that they all are coming back. I think that's a testament. The program is growing. I think last year we had 35 athletes, and this year we had 41 athletes.
That's great.
Each year, I have kept track of it, and we've set over 60 all-time PRs each year. So over 120 PRs from those athletes, which means that they are improving throughout the season. They're enjoying it. They're having fun. And that's one thing, too, that I think is really important. It's not all about the performance. It's about the experience as well.
Yeah.
And Sometimes we just have fun. Sometimes we'll play tag or sock tag or do relays or something different. It's not always about going to the track and putting in the repetitions. We have dedicated time for that, and sometimes we surprise them with something new.
Yeah, it's really cool to see Tavares building their programs as well, because we've seen Tavares come a long way the last couple of years. I mean, what Tracy Hansen has done for the program, what Coach Jones has done for the football program, and all these people who are coming together with a common mindset, and that's to help Tavares High School. And really, I've seen a lot of great change at Tavares High School. I know you guys have been at Tavares for a little while here, and you've been here for the last 5-6 years. What have you seen at Tavares High School as far as the change?
I mean, the biggest change, like you just said, is just seeing more success from each program. And I think just coaches that are about the athletes. Coaches come and go, and there's some coaches who are about winning or about maybe their reputation. But we have coaches that are about the athletes and wanting the athletes to do well and succeed and have, like Coach Crow was saying, have the best experience. And I think when you put in coaches that are about the athletes and wanting them to do well, it's just going to build a great program.
What are your main philosophies that you like to teach your runners?
Oh, that's a heavy question.
Yeah, we can start with Coach Curl.
I think that athletics in general teach kids that they're capable of more.
Yes.
It teaches them teamwork. It teaches them persistence. It teaches them to not give up on things. And those are attributes that they can develop in athletics that they'll take with them their entire life into other careers.
Yeah. It's not just track, it's not just swimming, it's all athletics, I feel, as well as, and in a lot of ways, sports is a way for these kids to break away from a lot of things that might be happening off the field as well, off the track. Talk about the mental health side of things and just where that's at today, because I feel there's a lot of different things that go through athletes' minds, right? Yeah. I mean, there's school choice, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you develop a program with these kids who might just decide, hey, I'm going to go to this program instead. It looks a little bit better. They might have a little bit. How do you keep these kids' mindsets as far as building a program?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Coach Crow was saying earlier too, that positive experience, because you can go to another program, but I think in my experience, there's very few programs that, again, are about the kids, are about have that support, have that mindset of, hey, we want you to be successful no matter what that looks like for you. And then I also think when it comes to that, if you're a good athlete, you're going to be a good athlete wherever you go, right? It doesn't matter what school it is. If you have the ability and you have the skills, that's going to shine. And so that's one thing I think we try and just teach our athletes, like, hey, if you're good, you're gonna continue to be good here in our program. But outside of just that, you're also gonna have an enjoyable experience, because we are about you. We want to see you succeed, and we want to see you enjoy your experience here at Tavares High.
Talking about an enjoyable experience, Asher Walker this year, one of your swimmers. What a year he had. He was an amazing kid. We had him on the program a couple of months ago. He was a very bright mind, really positive kid. Been through a lot, but. One of the things I love about Asher is his positivity, looking past a lot of the things that has happened in life. And if you can go back and check that one out on our podcast, that is a really good one. But talk about Asher for a moment and what he meant to the program.
Oh, Asher was an amazing asset to the program, not just because he was an amazing athlete, but because of who he is. He's been through a lot. He's a fantastic young man. He trained at the NTC, which means he would travel from Tavares, from school, back down to Claremont, and he would actually come back up to Tavares a couple days a week and help me coach some of the kids. So stepping into that role as a single head coach kind of there, I did have some support from Doc Mahoney, who was fantastic with helping me with some of the logistics and stuff, but actually getting eyes on the different athletes and helping them individually. It's kind of hard to put forth, and it's not my coaching philosophy to put forth a one-size-fits-all program. Mm-hmm. You got to look at each individual athlete and what they need to work on. Right. When we started the swim team this past year, we had Asher, who finished third in the 100 freestyle and fifth in the 50 freestyle, I think it states. It may have been 7th, I don't remember. But we also had 3 other athletes who started that one of them was in my class, and she didn't know how to swim. And she asked me at the beginning of the year, she said, "Hey, Coach Curl, if I come out for the swim team, will you teach me how to swim?" I said, "Absolutely." So we actually started with 3 athletes that made it about 3 or 5 strokes off the wall before they had to stop. And each one of those athletes competed in a fully evented districts. So, when you measure success of an athlete, it's not about the pinnacle of what they achieve. It's about how far they come. And Asher was a tremendous asset in taking over with some of the more experienced returning athletes this past year, while I could focus on helping some of those other athletes improve. So he's just a tremendous asset.
What does the future of that program look like as well? I mean, obviously you went through a lot of things last year with Coach Johnson, of course, passing away tragically. We lost Coach Johnson, but are you going to be the head coach next year and going forward? How does that look?
I am planning on going back and coaching as well. I think that it's open for tremendous growth. We did lose a couple of seniors last year. Megan Kidd, we lost her, and we lost Asher. But we do have some return. In fact, all the other swimmers that were on the team this year are expecting to return next year.
Nice.
And we had a good interest list from incoming freshmen earlier this year as well. I think there was another 9 or 10 interested individuals in joining that team.
Very nice. Yeah, we got a little bit more with Tavares in just a little bit. We're going to take a quick break on the Sports Hub, and we'll come back with more right after this.
Are you ready for your future to take flight? Whether you're graduating high school or looking to level up, Lake Sumter State College offers affordable degrees and certificates that will punch your ticket to success in a rewarding career. Plus, with programs like Direct Connect to UCF, your opportunities with LSSC are endless. So, what are you waiting for? Join us in Leesburg, Claremont, Sumterville, Four Corners, or online. Learn more at lssc.edu.
Hey everybody, we are back on the Sports Hub podcast talking right now with Coach Charisa Watson and Coach Brandon Curl of Tavares High School. Thank you guys for joining us on the program. It's been really insightful talking to you guys today. I appreciate you both coming on. Wanted to talk to Coach Curl because you handle a lot of the nutritional stuff as far as athletes go, as far as swimming and cross country and track. Some of those are athletes, they need to fuel their bodies with the correct food. Talk about the nutrition aspects about being a head coach.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, I'm not a certified nutritionist, but I do have quite a bit of experience with that. I went through 2 different Division I programs in college, and we had actually very little nutritional education. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I was eating cans of tuna and ramen noodles, which was kind of the college diet, but that didn't necessarily set me up for the best nutrition with all the practices and stuff that I was doing. After I graduated from college, I got into competitive triathlon for a number of years and competed from 2007 to 2018. Through that time, I competed for Team USA at 6 different world championships for sprint triathlon. And through all of that, I met some amazing people who really guided me and taught me a lot. One of my best friends, who was actually one of my coaches for a while, is Dr. Carl Rieken. He's out in Seattle right now, and taught me a lot about nutrition. And I would say that nutrition is the primary factor that enabled me to compete into my 40s and turn out times that were as fast, if not faster, than when I was in college. Wow. So number one, high school athletes, they're not buying their own food, so sometimes it's whatever they have available. The average American diet these days is very heavy in saturated fats and fried foods and sugars and processed things. So even talking with my own doctors, my cardiologist, real whole food is the best option for everyone, not just athletes. But cleaning up the diet and getting rid or avoiding as much as possible processed foods and sugars, sodas, things like that. Get all of your energy from natural proteins. I tell a lot of the athletes, just trying to make it simple. If it walks, swims, flies, or grows, then it's fair game. So if it's packaged in a nice, neat little, package, it might not be the best thing. Yeah. So talking about different ingredients and things like that, sometimes I'll have the kids, did an exercise in my class, actually. I had kids just pull out whatever snacks they had, and we talked about, what is that? What are these things that you can't pronounce, and what effect could that possibly have on the body? So, clean whole foods, eat when you're hungry, definitely eat, because that's, definitely important sometimes with high school athletes, or actually any athletes, any people, maybe they don't want to eat for various reasons, but you can't not fuel the body and then go into a practice. So,
triathlons as well, which is incredible. You remember your first triathlon? Like, how did you even get into the triathlons?
Well, my first triathlon was actually in the mid 90s. And I tend to be a very competitive person. And at that time I was swimming in high school, lifeguarding at the pool. And there was a couple of these lap swimmers that said, "Hey, you're a good swimmer. You should come and try and do this." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I was a very good swimmer. And I left behind the pro women, and I actually beat half of them out of the water. And then I did the bike, and then I got to the run, and I quit about halfway through the run and started walking. I was totally unprepared for that. Years after I graduated from college, I was starting to feel a little out of shape, and a friend of mine from the swim team in college came down to visit me, and he was doing a triathlon. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do another one of those." And it happened to be at Lake Louisa State Park, and I didn't really train for that one as either. I was just like, "Oh well, you're doing it, so I'll do it." And I got smoked. So it just kind of lit a fire in me, and I started working on that. In 2007, 2009, I did my first Ironman, my only Ironman. It's accomplished to finish one of those, but I definitely excelled in the faster Olympic distance and the sprint distance races.
Yeah, it's really cool that you were able to do that, and you have a lot of experience, especially for kids that are graduating as well. Depending on what they do, they can have a career in athletics after they graduate, which is really cool as well. And it brings me back to Coach Watson as well. I wanted to talk to you about your philosophies as far as what you like to preach out there to your athletes.
Yeah, well, it's exactly what you just said about being more than an athlete. With me, I really struggled when I officially retired, I guess, from being an athlete, because I was like, well, who am I now? I've been an athlete since I was 5 years old, and I don't even know who I am without being tied to a sport. Yeah. And so I try and preach to my athletes hey, you are more than an athlete. This is part of you, but it's not who you are. And try and really help them. I'm a person of faith, so I believe God has a purpose and a calling for everybody. And so my main role is, hey, let's find your purpose. Why are you here? What do you feel like God has called you to do? What are some other, skills and just talents that you have? So that way, when they do finally retire and put that jersey up, it's like, okay, I still know who I am and I know what I'm called to do.
Do you have a story of your career that you've done that truly impacted you through your life?
Yes, I had a really, really great track and field coach, and she really poured into me because I wasn't the fastest on the team, or I wasn't out here winning championships. But she saw me as, again, more than an athlete, right? And I'll never forget, I made it to the finals in my 400 race, and I finished 8th. And I remember I was so upset, and I was like, oh, I came in 8th, And she was like, no, Charisa, you just PR'd. You just ran your personal best. And I was like, oh, you're right. And so just little things like that of showing hey, your success doesn't have to look a certain way. Success can look differently. And again, just preaching to me, you're more than an athlete, and you can, all that I invested in you, now when you put your jersey up, you can then invest into others, really had an impact on me. And that's what I try and do with my athletes. What's
your advice? Because you've been coaching for a couple of years now, but you're a younger coach as well. What's your advice for younger coaches getting into the coaching scene?
Oh, that's a great question. When I started coaching, I was so nervous because, again, young coach, you're with a lot of coaches who have been coaching for years, and you kind of feel oh, I'm the one that they're she doesn't know what she's doing, So I would just say, just know that you have what you need. You're there for a reason, and just to trust in your experience, but also don't be humble to ask for help. That was one thing. I networked with a lot of other coaches. I got into a lot of coaching groups. I would ask people for advice, for guidance. And so know that you have the skills to do your job, but also balance that with, I'm also humble enough to ask for help and know that I can continue to grow and learn about the sport.
Very wise words. And again, I want to thank both of you for coming on to the program. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you a little bit better. And what a season you both had. Lots to build on for next season as well. Can you give us a preview of what things are going to be like over the summertime and as we head into cross-country season?
Heading into cross-country season, our first day for practice is July 29th. We actually give the kids some training plans to take home over the summer if they would like to do that. This year we gave them 3 different plans. And really, it's not about having to do them. It's about maybe just staying active.
Yeah.
I personally feel that through my experience, cross training is really important because it gives you a mental break from one thing to another. So we just encourage them, especially over the summertime, to have some fun, stay active. A lot of the kids for cross country are going to be training with the Von Maxis.
Yeah.
They do a camp at the end of the summer up in North Carolina, and that's a lot of fun. Again, these fun things help increase motivation. So that's what we're looking like for cross country. And I know that some of the swimmers are planning on training over the summer at some of the local swim programs as well.
Yeah, things looking up for Tavares, and we can't wait to watch as the summer progresses and we head back into football and cross country swimming season once more. So thank you both for coming on to the Sports Hub today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for the Sports Hub today, presented by UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics. I'm your host, Kyle Coppola. Thanks for joining us here today. I want to thank our partners, Lake Center Home Care, Lake Sumter State College, and United Southern Bank. Our podcast available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and more. So check us out and subscribe. It really helps us out. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next edition of the Sports Hub podcast.
This has been the Style Sports Hub, presented by UF Health Medical Group Orthopedics.